Hello everybody, how are you? David Franco here from TechSocial.com to talk about the iPad, well, the new iPad. That's what Apple's calling it. I will talk about that more at the end of this video if I remember. So let's just get into details because the keynote literally just ended within 5 minutes, and as you guys know, I am an Apple freak, so I am indeed selling my iPad 2 for the new iPad. Alright, let's start out with some notes. Of course, Tim Cook took the stage, talked about the iPad numbers, all retail stuff. Apparently Apple now has 362 Apple retail stores, 110 million visitors in the fourth quarter of 2011 alone. That's pretty insane, guys, for just one quarter. Siri is officially coming to Japan, so there you go. I don't know what that was. There were 62 million iOS devices sold in the fourth quarter of 2011. Again, pretty insane. 585,000 apps are in the App Store. That is craziness. Now, how many of those apps are complete crap? I don't know, but I just know I'd rather have more choice than less, so that's always good. And of course, ending this note section with iCloud, there are currently more than 100 million iCloud users, and now iCloud officially supports movies, which is always good. Okay, now let's talk about Apple TV, which is actually one of my favorite Apple devices out there. For those of you not aware, I absolutely love my Apple TV. I use it every single night for Netflix. I'm a huge Netflix streaming user. I also stream The Office and The Walking Dead when I buy episodes off of iTunes, and overall, I just love the Apple TV. It's not perfect. I really wish we could use Amazon Prime, but that's okay. Perhaps someday. Anyway, getting to the new one. The new one officially comes out today in terms of pre-orders. I quote a lot. I've noticed that. But it officially comes out next week, but I am going to indeed pre-order mine today because this new one finally has full 1080p support. Thank you, finally. Streamlined new user interface. It's very iOS-like. I haven't looked into the details, but you guys know me. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm obsessed with design and little tweaks here and there, so I'm really excited to see how this looks. And apparently, the current Apple TV, you can update it to get this new software update in terms of this new user interface. So we'll see what happens. Yes, I'm really hyper. I'm talking a lot and all that good stuff. Oh, and finally, the new Apple TV does have Genius recommendations based on movies. So think about Netflix suggestions for you, but in terms of Genius suggestions for you. There's really not much else to say about that. And of course, as I said, it's available next week for how much? $99. Yes, the same exact price as the current Apple TV, which I've always been a fan of that price because $99, in my opinion, is a great price point for everybody. Okay, now let's get to the main attraction, and that is the iPad 3. The new iPad. Let's just call it the new iPad. Now, after Apple went over the numbers and stats and everything, of course the iPad is the dominating tablet that other companies wish they could even touch in terms of market share, but they're just not going to. But anyway, let's just talk about all the new features rolled out today. First of all, I will say, do you see this little thing right here, the home button? Yes, it's staying. I hate to say this, but I was right. Who am I kidding? I don't hate to say that. But seriously, guys, I think I like to know Apple very well in terms of strategy and product design, and I knew from the very beginning the home button is not going anywhere for a long time. Trust me. So yes, it stays on the iPad, the new iPad. Retina display. I don't care that the clock's going. I'm still going to go. Retina display is official. Thank the Apple gods. 2048 by 1536 resolution. 3.1 million pixels on that one display alone with a 264 pixels per inch resolution. Insane. Trust me, guys. Trust me. This is something you have to witness. Think going from the iPhone 3GS to the iPhone 4 or the 4S. It's such a huge leap in overall quality, and just the performance of that display is going to be incredible, and I cannot wait to witness this in person. Trust me when I say this. And the thing is, I'll be selling my iPad 2 by the time the iPad 3... Hey, look at that, I quoted with 3 fingers by accident. Anyway, but I will still indeed have an iPad 2 in the household from my family or whatever, so I will definitely compare the iPad 2 to the iPad, the new iPad. I gotta get used to that. So that way you guys can truly see the difference. So take my word for it, it's gonna be incredible. 44% better color saturation than before. I didn't really have any complaints about the color saturation on the current iPad, but I guess more is always better. A5X processor. I believe it's dual core, however, graphics performance is quad core, so that's really going to kick into gear when it comes to the new iPhoto app, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. Gaming is going to be even better. Just overall performance is just going to see a huge leap. And where did I put it? Yeah, 4 times the performance than before. Not 2 times, not 3 times, but 4 times. Next up, a huge one. This camera sucks. I have no problem in admitting that. I may love Apple, but they missed it big time with the iPad 2. The iPad, the new iPad, I gotta use a sooner, is gonna have a 5 megapixel camera. I was right again. Somebody tried to tell me it was gonna have 8 megapixel, and I tried to tell them, no, trust me, they're not gonna make that big of a leap. I personally predicted 3 megapixel, 5 megapixels tops, so I'm really glad to see at least we got 5 megapixels. But get this, not only is it a 5 megapixel camera, which again is amazing for a tablet, but we're also apparently getting the same the same optics as the iPhone 4S, so expect similar performance in overall photo taking. Oh, and as well as video, because it does do 1080p video recording, which is awesome. And yes, this also includes noise reduction and face detection. Face detection is always good. And getting into the whole talk of detection, let's change that word a little bit into dictation. You see what I did there? I don't even know what I did there. We officially now have somewhat Siri support. This is the only thing that disappointed me, is that we don't officially have Siri on the iPad. However, one of my favorite features of Siri on the iPhone 4S is voice dictation. So while the new iPad will not have official Siri support, we will have voice dictation, which is technically part of Siri. So that's half of my dream come true in terms of my predictions. So thank you, Apple. I'm really glad, because there have been times where I just don't feel like typing, because sometimes I'm laying in bed and it's sometimes like an awkward typing angle like this, and you guys know what I'm saying? Basically, it's just a very good thing that we're getting voice dictation, and I'm really excited about that alone. Next up is 4G LTE support. Thank you. This is huge for many people. Honestly, this isn't a huge deal to me, but it's a huge deal for many people. And Jasmine, are you snoring? I'm trying to make a video here. Do you hear that? Anyway, 4G LTE. I'm sure many of you guys are very happy about that, so congratulations. Me, I really don't care, to be honest, because I'd rather just use my iPad on Wi-Fi. That's just me, because I never used my 3G once on this iPad. I paid $129 extra for nothing, so not a huge deal. So getting to prices, my predictions were correct. $499 for 16 gigabyte, $599 for 32 gigabyte, and finally $699 for 64 gigabyte. Now, I assume 4G LTE models are extra, maybe $129 extra just like last year's models. I cannot confirm that, so to further extend this conversation, just go to apple.com right under this video for official information, because again, I'm literally making this video within minutes of the keynote ending, so I haven't even had time to check out Apple's official store page. So just go there, check it out. And finally, the new iPad. Again, as predicted in my stream last night, my live stream over at ddfranco.com/live, the new iPad is coming out next Friday, March 16th, and thank you. They're actually taking pre-orders starting today, because last year was a nightmare in terms of getting the iPad 2. They didn't take pre-orders, which honestly pissed me off, because I'm a huge Apple fan and I wanted that on day one. It didn't happen. I got it a couple days after. But the iPad 3, the new iPad, is officially taking pre-orders, which I'm really excited about. Honestly, the sooner I end this video, the sooner I can pre-order. So there you go, next Friday, March 16th, do it. And of course, all stock apps have been updated and optimized for this new Retina display, and existing third-party apps will scale up. It's up to the app developers to, well, optimize their apps to better take advantage of the Retina display. But since text is vector is technically just lines and shapes, this means that text will auto re-render for the new iPad, so text will look sharp no matter what. And my last note is saying, simply called iPad. Do you see that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Either way, let's talk about that for a minute. I will say, and I have no problem in admitting this, calling it the new iPad might be confusing to consumers. I'm not sure whether they're calling it the official the new iPad or just iPad. Either way, I'm fine with them just calling it iPad, because now it's kind of on track with the iPod Touch and the original iPod. We never really called the original iPod Video or color screen iPod. I mean, we did as consumers to better distinguish them, but now it's kind of like iPad 3rd generation. So it's really not a big deal, it's just the name. The product is practically brand new in terms of specs and performance, especially the Retina display. So honestly, this doesn't really bother me that much. It's just something we'll have to get used to. So next year, I'm assuming the new iPad, will just be called the iPad 4th generation. And now let's talk about iPad software real quick. iWork got a bunch of updates. Apparently they're available for free today for existing users. But for new users, it's $10 each for Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. I do own Pages and Keynotes. GarageBand now has smart strings, a note editor, and full iCloud support for sharing your songs, which is always good. iMovie has an update. Not only does it have a new icon, which honestly does excite me, which is pretty cool, but it's also, I don't know, honestly. I didn't really look into it much. Apparently it has new titles or something like that, but it is available today as a free update for existing iMovie users. So, in my book, that's pretty cool. And finally, last but certainly not least, certainly not least, far from it in fact, you get the point, we are finally completing the iLife circle in terms of, well, iLife apps. As you know, we have iMovie, GarageBand, all that good stuff for the iPad, but we do finally have iPhoto for the iPad. Now, I honestly haven't looked into this too much because, again, I didn't even check Apple's website yet, but from what I've seen on Engadget's live blog notes, iPhoto looks pretty incredible, especially for a $5 app. We have full support for gestures, obviously, effects, multi-touch editing, beaming photos between iPads, which is pretty sweet. That's actually something I've always wanted in terms of native supports. And finally, tons more for only $5. Again, just check it out for yourself. I cannot stress how cool it looked from the screenshots because it looked pretty freaking cool. And again, guys, $4.99? Why wouldn't you get it? And now let's talk iPad 2. Wait, iPad 2? David, what the hell are you talking about? Yes, the iPad 2 is still here to stay for at least 1 year to go, or maybe half a year, depends how long Apple wants to keep making them. But my point is, iPad 2 remains to be sold online for $3.99. I'm pretty sure you can find them in stores somewhere. I don't know about Apple's official stores, like retail, but you can definitely find them at Best Buy, like if they still have them stocked, because I'm sure they want to get rid of them. But yes, the iPad 2 does remain to be sold for $3.99, 16GB Wi-Fi, which is excellent for those not needing the iPad 3. I mean, me being a tech reviewer, an Apple freak, and overall just a geek in general, I kind of do want the new iPad 3. Obviously, it's really no secret, hence my enthusiasm in this video. So yes, my point is, iPad 3 is great for me, but for the people who do not want it, you can still get an iPad 2 for $400, 16GB Wi-Fi, which is not a bad deal. And now, let's say goodbye to my iPad 2. I'm gonna miss you. And that's that. Goodbye, iPad 2. I will see you, well, after this video, honestly. But that is the last time you guys will ever see that in the video. And speaking of that, my iPad 2 eBay link will be below this video within a few days. It's not going to be up today, but I will definitely list it by the weekend. That way it gets sold by next Wednesday, Thursday. That way I have money in my account. I can buy the iPad 3 and all that good stuff. It all works out. So thank you guys so much for watching. What do you think about the new iPad? You know me. I'll be buying it on day one. So expect an unboxing video, a comparison video with the iPad 2, maybe even the iPad 1, I doubt it, and all that good stuff. Expect tons of coverage, basically. Also, iOS 5.1 is available today, so go check it out. And now, I am done. Peace.